Hi, welcome to English Composition. I'm Michael Cheng. I'm here with Cher Chen today.
各位同学，大家好，欢迎回来英文作文课程。我是 Cher， 在我身边的是郑老师。
Right, so last week we learned how to compare and contrast two things in order to make a decision. What we're going to do today is learn how to compare and contrast three or more things in order to make a decision.
好，各位同学，我们上个礼拜已经学过要怎么样去比较两件物品来帮助我们下定一个决心哦。那今天呢，我们要学习的是如何在做决定之前呢，先去比较三个或者是三个以上的事物。
And we are also going to learn how to describe and analyze the complicated data that we can find in a graph or a chart.
好，那另外呢，我们也会学习如何去描述或是分析我们在图表或是表格上面所看到一些比较复杂的数据。
Right, let's start by looking at the graph on page 207 of your textbook. This is a bar graph, and it shows the results of a survey about bagel preferences.
好，那各位同学呢，可以现在看一下课本第207页哦。这地方呢有一个所谓的长条图，那这张长条图可以显示关于贝果喜好的调查的结果。
You can see that there are four kinds of bagels.
好，各位同学可以看到呢，在这个表格上面包含了4种贝果的讯息哦。
And the information about each type of bagel is divided by age range, which is listed along the horizontal axis or along the bottom of the screen.
好，那各位同学也可以发现，每一种贝果它被购买的这个讯息呢，是用年龄来做分层区分的。这一部分呢是列在长条图的水平轴也就是靠着图表底部的地方。
And since there's information about 4 types of bagels in each age range, we can call this a multiple bar graph.
好，那既然这样子的表格呢，它的讯息是用不同的年龄层的消费者来做区分的，我们就可以把这个表格取个名字，叫做群组长条图。
You can see we also have information about frequencies along the vertical axis or up and down the side of the bar graph.
好，那各位同学也可以发现，在垂直轴的部分呢，也就是从上到下这个部分它获得的呢，是所谓消费者购买的次数也就是频率上面的讯息。
And when we report about the information in this bar graph, either in a meeting or in a written report, we have to do more than just show the graph. In addition, we need to explain and interpret the information in the graph.
好，那当我们如果现在在会议上或者是在需要撰写文章去解读这个图表的时候呢，我们不能仅仅只是把数字呈现出来我们还需要去解读，并且去诠释这样子一个表格，还有它里面传达的一些内容。
And so today we're going to show you how to write about the information in this bar graph. But before we do that, let's watch a video and find out more about the information in the survey.
好，那今天呢，我们就是要教各位同学如何去描述这样子一个长条图里面的讯息内容用文字把它写出来。不过在我们开始之前呢，先让各位同学观赏一段影片，获得一些背景的资讯。
Good afternoon. I'm going to present to you the result of our market research survey on our bagel products. First, let me start by giving you an overview of our key findings before going over the data in detail. Our key findings were that the plain bagel were most popular with younger consumers. On the other hand, the fruit and multi-grain bagels were more popular with older consumers. Now, let me provide some of the background information that led to these key findings. Our survey was conducted from August 14th to August 17th. It was held in supermarkets and hypermarkets in Taipei, Taichung, and Kaohsiung. A total of 3,427 informants participated in this survey. Okay, and this chart presents the popularity of our plain bagels. The vertical axis shows the percentage of informants that like the plain bagel most. The horizontal axis shows the age group of the informants. You can see that the plain bagel was extremely popular among younger informants, but its popularity decreased as the informants got older. Okay, so now, this chart presents the popularity of our fruit bagels. The fruit bagel starts off with moderate popularity among younger consumers and steadily grows in popularity. It peaks at 38% popularity among the key 36 to 45-year-old age group. And the following chart presents the popularity of our multi-grain bagels. Similar to the fruit bagel, it starts off moderately popular among younger consumers and steadily rises in popularity. The multi-grain bagel has very strong numbers among the top 3 age groups in this survey. And this chart presents the popularity of our garlic bagels. Well, this product was not popular at all with our younger consumers and was only slightly more popular with older consumers. Now, let's take a look at our composite findings. We can see that the plain bagel was the most popular bagel among younger consumers by a wide margin, but the fruit bagel and multi-grain bagel are both more popular among the top 3 age categories. Finally, the garlic bagel is always the least popular bagel among all age groups. So, based on our findings, here are our conclusions. We should supply plain, fruit, and multi-grain bagels to all supermarkets and hypermarkets. However, we should only supply garlic bagels to hypermarkets. Thank you. Do you have any questions?
好，各位同学可以从刚刚的影片可以看到哦，这应该是呢有一位这个市场调查的人员专业人员在对这个卖场的主管做一个报告哦。那我们可以看到这个报告的人员呢他非常专业哦，他呈现的这个表格然后给这个卖场的2位主管去观赏。那同时呢，他也在这个借由这表格之中呢，告诉他们说，我们在卖场之中呢进口的4种口味不一样的 bagel 哦，那在不同的消费者的族群里面，他们各有不一样的喜好哦。比如说年轻的族群，他比较的喜欢的是某一种口味的贝果哦，那年纪较长的族群比较喜欢的是另外一种口味的贝果。那当然他也提出了一些解释说，那可能是因为什么样的原因呢？哦，或者是有什么样的一个走向跟一个趋势呢？最后他当然身为一个这个报告人员，他对于卖场的人员就提出了他的建议哦。那什么样的场合哦，什么样的一个状况下适合购买入哪一些口味的贝果哦，才能够最符合这个消费者的需求以及卖场的收益的成本。好，那这个部分呢，我们晚一点到之后的部分会给各位同学再做详细的解释。
Right, so now before we look at the rest of what we write about in this lesson, we're going to take a little bit of a break now.
好，那在这个我们继续解释之前呢，先让各位同学休息一下，待会我们再继续讨论。
Welcome back. And so before the break, we learned a lot about the information that we see in the graphs in your book. And so now that we understand all that information in the graph, let's figure out how we can turn that information into a written report.
好，各位同学，我们现在已经知道了，我们课本上刚刚看到那个图表它是在这样子的一个状况下，有一个这样市场调查的过程才去完成的那接下来呢，我们要来仔细的去解读这个长条图里面所传达的各个讯息了。我们会把这些讯息呢转换成文字，然后写成一篇报告。
And now the first thing that we need to know is that if you put a graph into a report, you should describe what the information in the graph is. You should describe what the graph means.
好，我们首先呢要做的第一件事当然我们就是要去解释这个图表它所代表的意义啦。你可以透过呢帮图表取一个名字用这样的方式呢来描述这个图表。
And so you can describe what our graph is, the graph that we have in the book, by giving it a title. And something like Bagel Market Research or Bagel Popularity by Age Group are titles that could be appropriate.
好，那根据这个办法呢，那我们这个课本上这个表格，我们就可以给它一个名称，比如说我们可以叫它做这个所谓的贝果市场调查结果表或者呢，我们可以叫它做在不同年龄族群中贝果的受欢迎程度表。
Now, in addition to giving a title to your graph, you have to do more than that. And you should also go on and explain what the key information is in the graph. And you should also tell what the important conclusions of the graph are.
好，那当然除此之外光是给一个名字是不够的，你还要继续的呢去解释这个图表中所传达的各种不一样的讯息。那当然还要提出这个表格能够传达给我们的一个重要的结论。
Now let's go and take a look at the writing model, and we're going to see how the writing model describes the information in the graph.
好，现在各位同学，我们先来看一下写作范例的部分，我们就可以看到这个表格能够传达是什么样的讯息。
Our survey of bagel preferences shows that the plain bagel was most popular among younger consumers, while the fruit and multigrain bagels were more popular with older consumers.
针对消费者的贝果偏好所做的调查中显示，原味的贝果在年轻族群中最受到欢迎，而水果口味及五谷口味的贝果则在年长的族群中较受欢迎。
Now, the writing model starts out by summarizing all the important information in the graph. So this gives an overview of the entire graph, and if your reader is very busy, then this first line provides a quick summary of everything that your reader needs to know.
好，各位同学可以发现哦，写作范例一开始哦，就用这样子一个简短的一个句子的方式去呈现了一个概括性的介绍。那假设说你的读者哦，比如说像我们影片中看到是一个很忙碌的这个商场的主管呢，哦，他没有时间去细读每一个句子的话，你现在写出来的这一句话就像是一个快速的一个简介哦，提供给你的读者他所需要知道的讯息。
Our survey was conducted from August 14, 2013 to August 17, 2013. 3,427 people participated in our survey. The survey was conducted in supermarkets and hypermarkets in Taipei, Taichung, and Kaohsiung.
这次的调查是在2013年8月14日到2013年8月17日进行，总共有3427个人参与这个研究。本次的研究在台北、台中以及高雄的超级市场还有大卖场中去进行。
And so this next line provides some background information that is not in the graph. And so this background information is important because it allows your reader to evaluate your survey methodology and to judge if your survey results are valid.
好，各位同学可以发现呢，我刚刚所翻译的这个部分呢，它这些资讯其实你从表格中是看不出来的，你看不出来日期，也看不出来参与的人数。但是呢，这个背景资讯是非常重要的因为它可以让你的读者借由了解你的实验方法来衡量说你的结果是否可信。
The results of the survey show that the plain bagel was most popular among younger consumers, but its popularity decreased as consumer age increased. However, popularity of the plain bagel never dipped below 20%.
研究结果发现，原味贝果在年轻的消费族群中较受欢迎，但随着消费者年龄层逐渐提高，受欢迎的程度也跟着降低。然而，原味贝果受欢迎的程度始终没有低于20%过。
Right, so now the next section provides a written explanation of each set of bars in the graph.
好，我们可以发现这个部分它详细的解释了长条图中的每一个部分。
Right, so now these explanations do not just state the figures that you can see in the graph, such as the plain bagel was judged most popular by 63% of the 10 to 14 age group.
好，我们会发现呢，我们刚刚说所谓的解释呢，并不是只是单纯的去陈述你所看到的这个事实，像这样在荧幕上各位同学看到这样的一个句子，只是单纯的陈述它的数字还有年龄层像这样子，并不是我们所谓的解释。
And so we also are not saying something like the plain bagel was judged most popular by 51% of the 14 to 18 age group.
好，那想当然尔的，如果你继续把文章用这样子方式去继续写说，那它是多少 percent 啊，在哪一个年龄层啊，这样子呢，依然不符合我们所需要的解释。
So instead, this section provides an interpretation of the figures in the bar graph. And so it takes a trend that you can see with your eyes and turns it into a concrete, explicit explanation.
好，那相反的，你会发现在写作范例中呢，它是写作的方式是提出了这个长条图中数字的解读，它把它在这个图表中所观察到的一个趋势很具体而且很明白的显示出来。
So now writing is important because it can take a general feeling or something that you might subconsciously understand and it makes it into something that's clear, it makes it into a clear and conscious statement that you can make a commitment to.
好，那各位同学可以发现，写作就是这一点跟我们一般口说不一样哦。它可以帮助你呢，把你潜意识中已经了解到的一个趋势，用具体的方式，清楚的、明白的陈述出来。
All right, let's go on and take a look at more of the writing model. And the fruit bagel was usually the second most popular bagel with all age groups. It was most popular among the 36 to 45 age group, and it had a popularity of approximately 30% for all consumers over 18 years of age.
水果口味的贝果在各种年龄层的消费族群中都占第2名。它在36岁到45岁的年龄层中最受欢迎，而在其他高于18岁的消费族群中，也都有约莫30% 的受欢迎程度。
All right, so now in this section, we are going on with information that's in the next category of the bagel. And instead of just stating some of the numbers that we see in the graph, we also point out some kind of important conclusion that we can draw from the data.
好，我们现在会发现呢，这个写作范例继续去探讨下一个种类的贝果，它是一些相关的调查讯息，而且再一次的，你会发现写作的方式并不是单纯的指出数字而已，而且呢，它还是提出了一些比较重要的结论。
Right now, let's look at the third kind of bagel. The multigrain bagel had a high popularity among the top 3 age categories. Its popularity peaked at 41% for the 25 to 35 age group, and it was over 30% in popularity among the next 2 age groups.
五谷贝果在前3高的年龄族群中有着较高的受欢迎程度，它的受欢迎程度在25岁到35岁的消费者中获得最高的欢迎度是41%，而在紧接着其他2组的年龄层消费者中，也有大约30%的受欢迎程度。
All right, and so you can notice here again that the writer is interpreting the data to draw some conclusions about the multigrain data and not merely stating what the numbers say.
好，那各位同学，我们再次印证了刚刚的说法哦。我们并不是只是单纯的去陈述表格中所呈现的数字，而是呢，我们要让这些数字去做解读，然后呈现出比较重要的一个结论跟论点。
All right, so now after this, let's go on and take a look at the last group of bagels. So it says the garlic bagel was the least popular bagel. Few of the younger consumers liked it, and it never reached 10% in popularity with any age group.
大蒜贝果是最不受欢迎的一种，很少年轻的消费者会喜欢它，而且即使在其他的年龄层中，大蒜贝果的欢迎度也从未达到10%。
And so once again, we see that the writer is explaining the key point that we can conclude from the data about the garlic bagel.
好，那再一次的，你可以看到作者呢，直接的把这个大蒜贝果的调查里面可以得到的重要资讯呢，很直接的陈述出来了。
All right, then finally we see that our paragraph about this bar graph is going to conclude with a suggestion about the type of action that we should take based upon the information in the bar graph.
好，那你也可以发现呢，在这个部分结尾的部分呢，根据图表所提供的资讯呢，写作者他也提出了他的建议。
Right, and so it says, based on this data, I believe that all supermarkets can carry plain, fruit, and multigrain bagels, but only large hypermarkets should carry the garlic bagel.
好，那也因此呢，这地方写到根据这份资料的结果，我们建议所有的超市及卖场都应该要购入原味、水果以及无谷口味的贝果，但只有大卖场才需要购入大蒜口味的贝果。
Right, and so the writing model is just a short paragraph about the bar graph. And if we were writing a more complete report, we could include additional information. So this could include the data gathering methodology and maybe the total number of informants in each age category.
好，那各位同学可以发现毕竟我们的写作范例呢，还是受限于它只是一个简短的段落所以呢，它陈述的资讯还是有限的。那如果现在呢，我们可以去写作一份更完整的报告的话，我们可以再加入更多的资讯包含了收集资料的方法或者是像是样本的年龄分配这些相关的资讯都是可以在更完整的报告中去提及的。
And so if we wanted to describe the data gathering methodology, we could also describe all the details of how we conducted the survey, such as which questions were asked and how people were approached to participate in the survey.
好，那还有一些其他资讯呢，像是包括我们这个进行调查的方式我问了哪些问题怎么样去获得这些样本这些也都是可以加入在报告中的。
Right, and so now just take a look now at our entire writing model. So we have a card now, and this is just the writing model written out in one section.
好，那现在各位同学所看到的哦，也就是我们的写作范例哦。那我们这个地方呢，刚刚已经为各位同学好好的讲解过了。
And so this writing model is in your textbook, and so you can read it all together on your own.
好，那这个部分呢，在课本上也可以看到哦。所以各位同学，请再回到课本上，好好的从头再看一遍，你可以更获得一个完整的一个讯息。
All right, we're going to take a break now, and we'll be back with more English composition in a few moments.
好，我们先休息一下，待会回来我们再继续为各位同学做讲解。
Welcome back from the break. When you're writing an explanation about the information in the chart or graph, it's important to be able to describe data trends.
好，欢迎各位同学回来哦。刚刚我们在看这个所谓的写作范例的时候呢，你会发现哦，其实呢，你所需要学习的不只是单纯的去描述或是去解释这个表格，还有很重要的一件事是你必须要学会去描述资料的一个所谓的趋势。
So here's what we wrote about the plain bagel in the writing model.
好，各位同学现在在荧幕上看到的，也就是我们用来描述原味贝果的一个方法。
It says the plain bagel was most popular among younger consumers, but its popularity decreased as consumer age increased. However, popularity of the plain bagel never dipped below 20%.
好，那这部分我们会发现哦，作者讲到说，原味贝果呢，在年轻的消费族群中非常受欢迎哦，但是呢，年龄层较高的消费者就比较没那么喜欢了。但不管怎么样，它始终是高于20%的。
So another way to write about data trends is to describe the shape of the data.
好，另外一种方式呢，就是去描述你所看到的资料的走向一个趋势。
Now let's isolate the data about the plain bagel.
好，我们现在呢，如果把这个原味贝果的资料独立出来，你就可以看到我们所谓的趋势了。
And so from this chart, we can see that the popularity of the plain bagel falls.
好，你可以发现呢，在这个表格中哦，所谓的原味贝果它的受欢迎率已经下降喽。
And so one way that we can describe this event is to write the popularity of the plain bagel plunged sharply until it leveled off at 22%.
好，因为我们看到了这样一个下降的趋势哦，因此呢，我们可以换一个方式来描述这样子一个下降的趋势状态。你可以说，原味贝果受欢迎的程度急剧的降低，直到剩约22%时才平稳下来。
And in this sentence, we use the word plunge to describe the movement of the data.
好，我们会发现这个句子中用了一个动词叫做 plunge 也就是急剧下降的意思。
And so plunge creates the image of a rock or a person falling over the edge of edge of a cliff or an airplane falling out of the sky. And so obviously this is a very negative image.
好，这个 plunge 这个字呢，如果各位同学稍微去研究一下这个单字的意思，你会知道这个单字可以呈现一种意象，像是石头或是一个人从悬崖边，甚或是从飞机上高空中急剧坠落的样子。那当然，这样子的一个意象呢，也就是非常负面的了。
And so we can also see that the negativity of this sentence is made even more powerful because we also had the word sharply.
好，那这个句子的负面的意义呢？当然，你可以看到后面有一个副词是写 sharply 的时候，你会觉得这负面的意义就更加的明显了。
Right, so now if you take a look at page 212 of your textbook, we have a number of words that you can use to describe the shape of your data.
好，那同学在课本的212页可以看到有很多其他的单字可以用来描述我们所谓的资料的走向或是趋势。
And so you can see that many of these words are related to flying or mountains. And so, for example, soar, shoot up, and skyrocket all create images of flying.
好，你会发现呢，在这些单字里面呢，有很多字都跟飞行或者是跟爬山是有相关的。举例来讲呢，各位同学可以看到 soar 这个字，它指的是向上飞在意思上呢就是暴涨的意思。那 shoot up 意思是指迅速的升起的意思。Skyrocket 指的是像烟火一样的往上冲那意思上就有猛然上涨的意思。这几个单字都跟飞行有关。
And then we have other words like climb, peak, and flatten out that are related to mountains or climbing a mountain.
好，那另外几个单字呢，像是 climb 是攀爬的意思 ，peak 是指达到巅峰、达到顶峰，flatten out 意思则是平坦变平坦的那这几个单字呢，则是跟爬山的意象有关。
And so now the strength of these verbs can be increased or decreased with modifiers. And so, for example, look how we can change the strength of this sentence. The popularity of the restaurant increased.
好，各位同学会发现哦，用这些动词的时候呢，你可以适时的去增加或是减少你的修饰语哦，那改变句子的强度哦。比如说，现在各位同学看到的这个句子，这间餐厅的受欢迎程度增加了。
So now imagine that you're an investor in the restaurant, and by adding modifiers, we can change how you view the event.
好，那我们来假想一下哦，各位同学，如果刚好是这间餐厅的投资者哦，那如果呢，我们把这个文字加上了所谓的修饰语，可能就会让你对我们所陈述的事实哦，改变你的想法哦。
Right, so if we write, the popularity of the restaurant increased dramatically, this makes the reader feel excited and optimistic about how successful the restaurant's going to be.
好，那如果这个句子中我们加上了 increase dramatically 哦，这样子的修饰语哦，大大的增加了哦，这样的句子呢，就会让读者觉得比较兴奋哦，那对于这个餐厅的成功呢，感到很乐观。
Whereas we can have a different sentence, the popularity of the restaurant increased steadily. And so this sentence may not make you feel so excited, but you still feel very comfortable and confident.
好，那如果我们稍微修改一下它的修饰语，我们把它改成稳定的成长哦 ，steadily 哦，那这样的这个句子呢，可能不会让你觉得太兴奋了，但是你会感觉到呢很舒服，那觉得对这件事很有信心。
And if we take a look at another sentence, the popularity of the restaurant increased a bit. And then maybe when you see a sentence like this, you'll feel a bit disappointed about how successful the restaurant could be.
好，那一样，我们如果换掉了这个修饰语，改成 a bit 哦，也就是只有增加一点点哦。那如果你是一个这个投资者的话呢，你看到这样的句子，当然你也就会感觉到可能有一点失望哦，对这成功就没有那么有信心了。
Right, so now let's take a look and see how we can describe the data trends for the multigrain bagel and for the garlic bagel.
好，我们接下来呢，继续看看我们要怎么样去描述其他不同口味它的这个资料的走势。
Right, so we can see we can see over here the multigrain bagel chart, and this is what we wrote about the multigrain bagel.
好，各位同学可以看到画面上呢出现的是我们在写作范例里面在描述这个五谷口味的贝果的时候写的方式。
And these sentences emphasize the level of popularity that's maintained among the top 3 age categories.
好，但这个句子呢，它本身是用来强调在前3高的年龄族群中，这个五谷口味贝果所受欢迎的程度。
And so then here's another way that we can describe this data. We can say the popularity of the multigrain bagel rose steadily until it peaked at 41% among 25 to 35-year-olds.
好，我们另外一种方式来描述这样同样一个资讯呢，我们可以写到五谷口味贝果受欢迎的程度稳定成长，至25岁到35岁的族群时，已经攀升到41%。
And so both these sentences are valid ways of describing what the trend is for the multigrain bagel.
好，那这两种方式呢，其实都是可以用来强调五谷口味的贝果，在这个受欢迎的程度上是有怎么样的成长。
All right, let's take a look at the garlic bagel data.
好，我们现在来看一下大蒜口味的部分。
And then what we can do with the garlic bagel is we can describe the data trend like this. The popularity of the garlic bagel reached a maximum at about 8% and it remained flat.
好，那这个部分呢，我们可以换一个方式来陈述它所受欢迎的程度哦。我们可以这样写：蒜味贝果受欢迎的程度最大值为8%，然后呢便维持了平缓。
All right, so now you've learned some different ways to describe data trends, and so remember to do more than just state what the numbers are in the chart. Make sure you describe what the numbers mean.
好，那各位同学现在知道了，我们在看到这样的表格的时候呢，一个重点就是你不能只描述数字，你还要去继续的呢，进一步的去解读、去陈述这些数字所代表的意义。
Thanks for joining us this week for English Composition. We'll be back again next week.
好，谢谢各位同学今天的参与，我们下礼拜再见。